Okay, this will be my updated Frost dual wielding sequence for single target and AOE. Compared to the other ones, the talents shown here will also include the hero talents. I'm not specific to DK at all. I'm mainly Warlock. From what I understand, though, Rider's Apocalypse is where you want to be. And then for the only really choice nodes for DPS are between these two, and I think this one's the best one to keep up your horsemen longer rather than this one, which isn't active at all until you get at least 2 horsemen up. So this seems like the better choice. And again, we're doing right now in dual wield AOE, but let's swap over to single target. One thing to note is if you're using multiple, of course you're using multiple sequences, but if you want to use the same keybind for all your sequences, you can do that just by choosing the sequence that you want to work with. So in this case, we're using single target dual wield. You choose your sequence and you have to set it to a specific talent loadout. And this will always have your options that you have. So I'm using ST_DW. So I know when I swap to STDW, it's going to use that sequence. But you have to reload UI. So when you swap talents, when you're using all the same keybinds for all your sequences, you have to reload at least once. Now it'll pick up your new talents and know what sequence you're actually going to be running now. So for this one, all my sequences version 1, I try not to use it, not try, but I don't use any modifiers. The DK is an exception, and I believe Prop Paladin are an exception. DK for the examples, I want to use Alt for my Death Strike in case you need a little bit of survivability while you're in the world. Maybe because it's, well, as you're leveling, mobs can start to hurt, and then you can start to feel the pain, even at my mythic level Warlock, when I try and pull too many, like 7 mobs, and I don't know yet what is elite. So it happens. I do have the alt modifier in there for Death Strike. All your defensives still use them manually. Modifier or version 2 is where it uses more alt modifiers for all your cooldowns. So my version 1s are always the base. If the base is good, version 2 will be good because it's just you using your cooldowns manually when you want to at the proper time. So if version 1 is good, version 2 is good. So that's why I'll only be showing version 1 here. Okay, so we'll start with single target dual wielding. So we're on version 1 as a default. We're in the right talents, and I just reloaded. So we're good to go. Now cooldowns are down. We'll go for, I'll say 2 minutes. It's a bad time for DK Frost DK cooldown, so don't look at the numbers as I end. Look at them more so as what we got to, because as I hit 2 minutes, that's like a bad time for a fight to end, because the DK is running off like all their smaller cooldowns, at least for this sequence. So, alright, let's go. I'll start off with Howling Blast manually. I'm trying not to cleave anything with Frost and Fury or anything. Got your raised egg ghoul up. There's Bombed Limb. The Frost and Fury will come off soon, and then I'll have my 4 horsemen up here. Version 2 should always be more DPS just because you can get off your cooldowns quicker, meaning your burst is much higher. So it's always a good choice to do that. Version 1 definitely does fine though, but I recommend if you're raiding to go version 2 of any of my sequences. There's a slight downtime there when everything's off on cooldown. And there is one thing you can do to change the sequence to probably get a little bit more single target. But it won't cover as many scenarios when you're pulling multiple mobs or there's some sort of cleave happening. I'll show that after the 2 minutes here. I see all spells have been used, so it doesn't lock up. It keeps up the Frost Strike stacks, and you have kind of high runic powers because it's not spamming them all the time. I kind of don't like, but it's also if I ever want to use a Death Strike or something. Alright, 2 minutes. He is really dropping. There we go. Good drop. Yeah, it ended quickly there. Okay, so it looks like they're hand in hand with the Obliterates and the Frost Strikes. Because of the, obviously it's dual wielding, so now this talent is picking up its work there. Okay, now we will go over to AOE. So Mythic Plus DW is what I call it. You can call it whatever you want. Again, once you change over, everything is the same keybind, so I have to reload. I can type. Okay, now it'll recognize my actual sequence. So again, for this one, the only modifier is Alt for Death Strike. Trinkets use manly. Version 2 for this one is still use all modifiers, but they're different ones. This one is Frostman's Fury is Alt, Sword plus Control, and Shift is A Bombman. Since there's no chill streak, it's a lot more simpler to know which ones you're using. So, and these ones, if you just hold the keybinds, they fire off really quickly. It's again still the most DPS. Version 2, I'll always say, are better DPS. You have more control over your big cooldowns. But version 1 is pretty decent as well, in this case for AoE. Okay, and we're going, yep, default version is 1. Okay, we're good to go. We'll give this about 20 seconds here. Want to make sure everything's up to give everything a good comparison. I'll have the two-hander up eventually as well. Alright, let's get ready. Okay, starting off with Howling Blast. And we're going. I find the cooldowns go off quicker because I have one less GCD. I don't have Chill Streak anymore, so they go off quicker now. I think the highest I've seen is 1.74 million in my burst, and that's with version 2. When I was I started it off and just blowing everything. Yeah, we'll go to 2 minutes. I think it comes out to around 900k average. Some nice cleaves with the Obliterate while in D&D. Big cleaves, big cleaves. That's one of my more higher ones. Not bad. See the horsemen doing their work. Throwbane, I think, on death is part of one of the horsemen. And Obliterate doing its big cleave. And one thing I also mentioned for the single target variant, if you want a bit more single target, because right now I have it doing Frost Strike, and then a third one, and then Howling Blast. I just wanted to have it so I get more rhyme procs used, but it may not necessarily be the most single target. Sometimes you'll be Howling Blasting when there's no rhyme proc. So, at least for my testing, if you put this to a cast instead of cast sequence and remove everything except Frost Strike, you should get a little bit more single target DPS out of it. Okay, thank you.